Hello everybody, it's Tom and Jerry Fan 64 here. It's now time to do a video that I've always wanted to do. And ignore the noise in the background, someone's talking on the phone. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video of the top 21 movies that I personally think need a 4K release. And some of these movies might already have 4K releases, but we'll see. And this is my personal list, just to let you guys know. I know there's not gonna be some that you agree with, but they're just stuff, in my opinion, that need a 4K release. It's just my personal list. And so, yeah, number 21 is The Producer's 1968 movie. This movie definitely needs a 4K release because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think this movie has a 4K release. I don't think this movie has a 4K period. And this movie is one of the best Mel Brooks movies. A perfect example of what you do with a musical. It's a great musical. And I also think the 2005 remake is good, but I don't think that one's worthy of getting a 4K. I think this movie, the original 1968 movie, is a great movie. Really, really great movie. And this movie, it really angers me that there's no 4K for this movie. This movie would look great in 4K. I'm hoping that like Kino Lorber or stuff like that, or Warner Brothers or someone can make a 4K release of this one and make it look good. At number 20 is Tommy Boy. This movie I recently watched less than a month ago, and this is a hilarious movie. It's a funny ass movie. Excuse my language, but Tommy Boy definitely deserves a 4K. It did get a steelbook, but only on Blu-ray, which is a shame. This movie was funny as hell. So I definitely think this movie definitely deserves a 4K release. It pisses me off that there's not a 4K release of this movie, and this is one of the best comedies there is. So yeah, number 19 is a movie that might have gotten a 4K. I could be dead wrong, but I'm hoping that Kino Lorber releases this next movie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is number 19. This is definitely one of my favorite Jack Nicholson movies and one of the best movies of the 1980s. One of the best movies there is. I think it's from 1975 actually, from the 70s or 80s, one of my favorites. It's a great movie. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. I watched it on HBO Max for the first time last year. Great movie. So yeah, and I'm going to try to get through this list quickly. At number 18, speaking of Jack Nicholson, at number 18 is As Good as It Gets, directed by James L. Brooks. This one I know for sure does not have a 4K release. And I don't know if it has a Blu-ray release either. As Good as It Gets is definitely my second or third favorite Jack Nicholson movie. My second is Chinatown, but this one is a close third favorite Jack Nicholson movie. This was a great movie. So yeah, As Good as It Gets, every time I watch it, it never gets old. I could watch it like 5 million times and it doesn't get old. So yeah. At number 17 is a movie I think might have gotten a 4K, but I could be wrong, and it is I Am Legend. One of Will Smith's most underrated performances. This is a cup, and yeah, I Am Legend is a great movie with Will Smith. And speaking of Will Smith, number 16 is The Pursuit of Happiness. I know this one didn't get a 4K release for sure. This is definitely probably up there with King Richard. I think it's the King Richard of 2006. The Pursuit of Happiness, I almost said the Pink Panther. The Pursuit of Happiness is a great movie. And it's one of the only Jaden Smith movies I like as of right now. I do like Jaden Smith. He does have some talent, but I just think he needs to make more movies to make me more impressed. I do have another movie that he was in that I actually need to watch, that I watched most of. It's good. It's The Karate Kid. But Jaden Smith, don't get me wrong, I love Jaden Smith. He's a great actor. And he has one hell of a father, but I'm kind of mixed on him. So yeah, The Pursuit of Happiness is definitely one of Jaden Smith's best movies. I'm hoping that he gets bigger roles. I wish Jaden Smith got some more leading parts. So yeah, The Pursuit of Happiness is a great movie. And number 15 is a movie I know for sure doesn't have a 4K. It only got a Blu-ray and DVD releases. Don't Breathe. This is from the same director as the Evil Dead 2013 remake, which I really enjoyed, and it's directed by Fede Alvarez. The second Don't Breathe movie got a 4K, but I'm pretty sure this one didn't get a 4K release. I do hope that one of these days that Sony could release a 4K of Don't Breathe. It would look great in 4K, in my opinion. Great, great movie. So yeah, number 14 is Reign Over Me with Adam Sandler. One of Adam Sandler's most underrated movies he's ever made. And this is the only one of two Adam Sandler movies to make me cry. The other one being Click. For some reason that made me cry because it had some emotional parts. But Reign Over Me is definitely the most emotional Adam Sandler movie I've ever watched. It's mainly about this guy who is depressed after losing his wife and children in a plane crash. Basically, Reign Over Me is not an easy watch, believe me. It's a very sad movie, but it's a really great movie. And at number 13 is Capote. This is a movie starring the late Philip Seymour Hoffman that I have on DVD. It's a great movie. One of the more underrated movies by Sony Pictures Classics, and it's the only one of two movies I've seen that are Sony Pictures Classics films. The other one I've seen is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and that movie already got a 4K, I believe. But that's an honorable mention anyway. So yeah, Capote is definitely one of Philip Seymour Hoffman's best movies he's ever done, in my personal opinion. So yeah, at number 12 is a definite contender for 4K, is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I'm hoping that this one gets a 4K because the first Home Alone got a 4K, multiple 4K releases. I'm hoping that the second one gets a 4K release too. So yeah, at number 11 is a Jet Li movie called Unleashed. I'm hoping that Universal or Kino Lorber or some studio could release this movie on 4K. Unleashed is definitely Jet Li's most underrated movie, and it's a very great movie. 29%. Definitely badass as well, excuse my language. Unleashed, I actually have on DVD. It would look great in 4K, seeing Jet Li's brutal fight scenes in 4K. That would be really, really cool. And number 10 is a movie that a lot of you guys are gonna disagree with me on, but it's Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. This movie I do hope gets a 4K release from Warner Brothers or something. Because Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is one of the more underrated movies. It's like the Home Alone of the. It's like the PG-13. It's, in my opinion, the PG-13 version of Home Alone. And I don't like this movie as much as Home Alone, but this is still a great movie with Christina Applegate. And this was the first movie I ever. Wait a minute. This is the second movie I ever watched with Christina Applegate. The first one I ever watched was Wedding Singer. And this is a really, really great movie. It didn't get the best of reviews. I know Matthew Davis Media doesn't like this movie, but I do respect his opinion. He said it was one of the worst movies of 1991. But I respectfully disagree. I do respect his opinion. This movie is one of the biggest guilty pleasures that are on this list from the 90s. It doesn't get the credit it deserves, in my opinion. It's one of the greatest movies of Christina Applegate, and it's one of the best movies of the 90s. One of the more underrated, definitely. And at number 9 is 3:10 to Yuma, the 2007 movie. This is another movie that needs a 4K. I'm hoping that Lionsgate will release a 4K Steelbook. This is a great movie. 3:10 to Yuma has great performances by Christian Bale, Ben Foster, and Peter Fonda, and it has a great performance by Russell Crowe. So yeah, and I'm going to do this list quickly. Number 8 is Hotel Rwanda, which is a great movie. Number 7 is Liar Liar. Number 7 is Liar Liar. This one, Liar Liar, did get a Blu-ray release from Shout Factory, but only on Blu-ray. I'm hoping this movie gets a 4K one of these days. At number 6, speaking of Jim Carrey, at number 6 is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. This is another Jim Carrey movie that needs a 4K release desperately, because I would love to see this movie in 4K. Really, really great movie. The sequel is not as good, but decent. Number 5 is another movie that I hope that Kino Lorber releases, or Warner Brothers, and that is Roadhouse. And believe it or not, and before we go on, we talk more about Roadhouse, I heard that there's going to be a remake of the Roadhouse that's going to be released by MGM, and I am not looking forward to it. But I'm not going to criticize MGM, but I just wanted to let you guys know about the Roadhouse remake. Believe me, I am not excited for it either, but this movie, it's no joke. Roadhouse is getting a reboot. Yeah, Roadhouse is probably my favorite Patrick Swayze movie. This movie needs a 4K desperately. And number 4 is The Aviator. This movie might have gotten a 4K. I doubt it. This is a great movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. One of Martin Scorsese's most underrated movies. Number 3 is The Departed. Okay. Great movie. It needs no introduction. And number 2 is Watchmen. Watchmen is one of Zack Snyder's most underrated movies. This movie does not have a... Wait a minute. This movie does have a 4K, but I'm going to mention it anyway. I'm hoping that this movie gets a 4K Steelbook. And the number one movie that I know a lot of you guys are waiting to see on 4K, I bet. Number 1 is the movie that needs no introduction, that desperately needs a 4K, that it was supposed to come out on 4K earlier this year in March, but it never came to be. And that is, the number 1 is Panic Room. In this movie, Panic Room, what pisses me off is that the movie Panic Room does not have a Blu-ray release. It just has a DVD release. This movie would look amazing in 4K. So yeah, that is it for my top 21, the top 21 movies that need a 4K in my opinion, which I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be redoing my DVD collection tomorrow. See, I was going to upload part 1 of my DVD collection updated edition, but I'm going to redo it. So yeah, that is it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're generous enough, please consider leaving a like on this video and subscribe. Sorry about that, I got tongue-tied. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, everybody.